So, I was thinking about how to start off this video. And I was going to say, I wasn't actually going to start with talking about who I am. So I'm not going to say who I am till the very end, but you'll probably figure it out by, where it says my name, down where the subscribe button is. But I'm not even going to tell you to subscribe, or to like the video, or to go check out links in the description down below. Because personally, this isn't what that video is about. In fact, I don't think I'll have any links in the description down below. I just want you to listen. So, today's video, as you can see by the title, if you read the title, is called Life. Life. I made a board about it. And see, I've only had the great joy to experience a couple of years on this earth. Not as many as others, and I'm actually pretty young, in fact. Not even a teenager yet. And the fact that I'll be talking about this is very, how do you say it? You don't have to take my advice, okay? And you surely don't have to listen to anything I'm saying. But I think that I've seen enough in this generation and heard enough to get a little bit of an aspect about what life is about. So if you're thinking to yourself, okay, get to the point, all right. Well, does life have that one point? Because I believe that there's multiple points to this life. The first thing is, I think it always starts with an idea, a creation. My definition of an idea is something that can change the answer to that equation that you're trying to solve. And I drew these 4 boxes here to represent 4 blocks of life. And I haven't figured them all out yet. And I don't think I ever will. So 4 blocks are the equation. And we have to have that idea to figure out the equation. And I think inside these different boxes are different points. Different things cleared out for us to figure out in the future. Things for us to unlock and to be told later. And if you get one thing from this video, once to the very end, I have no idea how long or how short this is going to be, but it's this quote. And I'm going to have to turn it around to read it, but always love yourself with a passion that can never be broken by man. Make the change that you want to make in the world. Don't depend on others to do it first. And that's the first aspect of life we're going to be talking about, which is the red block of life. Like I said, I think it starts with an idea, okay? And that idea has a timeline. And the timeline is yours. You're the idea. You're the one who was created for man. You are here now put on this earth. And you have the ability to have another idea. And keep going through this time period. And the timeline is, you start. You have a chance. You have expectations. And then you have realization. By that I mean is that by a start, you're born. Or maybe not even born. Maybe your start wasn't when you were born. But your start is when you have the knowledge that you are here. You don't have to believe in a certain thing to know that you're on this earth. You're on this earth by some way. Okay, some way one human was on this earth, and then 2 humans, and so on and so on. So you have this start. Your start is basically to see, okay, where are you going to go with this chance? That's the second on the timeline. A chance to do something different. To prove yourself to humanity. Except by really proving yourself is not proving yourself at all. Because truly to prove yourself is not to prove it to others, but to know truly in yourself that you are worth the time. And if you do not think that of yourself, you need to find yourself. And then expectations. When you start to have this realization of different things happening in your life, you have expectations of yourself and others have expectations of you. To be able to do a certain thing, and when you have to live up to those expectations, you have to understand that with that comes realization. Expectations can be a weight on you. It could weigh you down. But that goes all the way back to the start of your timeline. If you haven't found yourself, go back. Go back. Going back doesn't mean that you have to relive everything that you've lived, but maybe go back and comprehend what you have done before and realize now that it's in the past. You have to move on from those, but to always remember those experiences so you can never mess up later, or you could build from those successes to keep going with life. The realization, I hate to say it, is at the end. Every human, every living thing ends. Just like this video will end, but everything's gonna end. And I used to be very, very scared of this. I have a office downstairs, and I would always go in there and just cry because I would start thinking about, the end. What's going to be the end? And I was realizing, I was having that realization at a young age. This doesn't have to be at the very end of your life. This could be at the end of this little timeline. And this timeline can repeat and repeat. But I would cry and cry because I would realize that I'm going to die one day. And I would think to myself, what's the point? Okay, what's the point of all of this? I didn't go to the extremes of wanting to kill myself, but I think everyone will have that moment one day saying, what is the point of me being on this earth? Where people are constantly killing themselves, being killed, where it's man for themselves. And when I started to realize what I was telling myself, I started to realize that I was slowly shrinking. And I started to realize that these building blocks of life, what I had just learned, or that I would one day learn, were going away and disappearing. And I know this doesn't make much sense, but when you have your foundations away, your building blocks, you start to forget what really matters. And like I said, you don't have to take any of this from me. I've only been on this earth for 12 years. But I've gone through the timeline. And my timeline repeats. And if it doesn't repeat, then what's the point, right? But how about you stop time? I think us as humans are so worried about time that we don't understand that we still have time. Why don't, instead of realizing the bad things and seeing the expectations and the chance and the start, you start to realize that there's more. There's a lot more than to what we think. And I want to leave you with this. You can either be that person. Okay, I'm not going to be able to write backwards. You can either be that person who always depends on others to do what they want to get accomplished. Or you could be that person who always doubts what others can do. But I think that if you have hope, if you have just a little ounce of hope, then maybe one day this hope can turn your life into something magical. I know this video was kind of repeating. I hope I got my point across. This was not scripted. This is written down by me just now. It's just this board, and I hope you enjoyed. If you just came and you're like, okay, I'm not sure if I like this girl. Well, if you didn't like me, that's okay. If you hate me, that's okay. Because I have hope one day you'll be able to know me for who I actually am. And maybe one day you won't have to see me through a screen, but through real life. I love y'all. And goodbye.